There we go. We're live. Oh, I gotta hit go live. We live? We live? Okay. There was like this delay. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm not even Here, hold up. You're supposed to be looking at that. Oh my god, I'm a mess. All right. All right, we got it. We got it. We got it. Lord Almighty. We're about to get started. Give me 1 second. There we go. There we go. Good, good. Okay, okay.
Wait, before you scroll.
All right. Thank you, Bieber. Leave it to Bieber. Make sure you check out our channel on YouTube. Okay, we're good here. Did it start over? I feel like this thing's been going forever. Oh no, it didn't. All right. Let's get started. Enough of all the. Hopefully the connection is smooth. I had something showed up as a hiccup. I've been for the last couple of days dealing with this weird internet stuff, and the internet streaming. Okay, it's doing what it's supposed to. It's going a little slower than it should, but it's picking up. So hopefully, give it a second. Hopefully, it'll settle. Is it working smooth? Does everything look okay? YouTube is telling me not enough video or something. Double check one more time. So it should be smooth. Hopefully, we'll get through this. Stream health. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's doing that. But all right. So a couple of things. What we're going to be talking about. We're going to be looking at the court documents. By the way, thank you for everybody joining. Please, if you wouldn't mind hitting like, I would appreciate it. Hit share if you don't mind. I was going to say, oh, and for people that watch the rebroadcast, I'm going to put a timestamp at the bottom for when we get started. So we're going to be looking at the court documents. We're going to talk a little bit about the father. For the people that are confused about the timeline, I think the court documents somewhat clears the timeline. It will help you understand. And still, we're basing the timeline off of what people are telling us, you know, off of the family. And, you know, the April 30th date is verifiable through school because they went to the school. So, and we're also going to hear part of the father's side, according to Ivory Hecker, which she went off the court records. I think she's been talking to him. He's also supposed to be speaking today, and he lawyered up. For people that don't know, he lawyered up. Let me think. Is there anything else? I think that's it. So we got a couple things we're gonna look at. I'm going to be keeping an eye, because in case the father does talk while we're streaming, then we can watch that. If not, then we'll leave it for another video. The first thing I like to do is, let me just start off with this. We'll play this video, which I think they said around 2. I think. Let's see. I think at 2 or something, the father is supposed to talk.
We could get final confirmation today on the identification of a child's body, which was found in Jasper earlier this week.
HPD telling us they do believe it is the body of Samuel Olson. Our Vincent Crivelli continues to follow this story. He's live this morning from the medical examiner's office. Vince?
Lisa, good morning. Samuel's father is expected to speak with Channel 2 sometime this afternoon. Meanwhile, the child's body, presumed to be his son, is getting its autopsy done here at the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences. As new details about the body of a child found at a Jasper motel believed to be that of 6-year-old Samuel Olson come to light, his father Dalton, through his attorney, denies being involved, saying, quote, he had nothing to do with the death of his son, and that the family is mourning, shocked, and in disbelief. Olson's attorney also saying right now they're wanting answers as to what happened and why. Theresa Balboa, who's Dalton's girlfriend, has been charged with tampering with evidence in the case. According to court documents, it's believed the child's body was at an apartment in Webster that Balboa shared with a roommate before being taken to a storage facility and then to Jasper.
It's crazy that something like that can happen so close, especially with having a newborn. Like, I couldn't imagine losing my kid.
A next-door neighbor who also happens to be a new mother recalls seeing police in the area and is shocked about what happened.
I was hoping that the baby boy was returned home safe and sound, and now I'm just hoping for justice for the family.
With many questions still unanswered about the case, his attorney says right now Dalton is with family and friends as they process what's happened. And many this morning have those same questions and more, and they're hoping they'll get answers.
So the father has lawyered up, and I think he's...
Father is expected to speak with Channel 2 sometime this afternoon.
Okay, with Channel 2, he's expected to speak with the news today. So we're going to be looking and following that. By the way, Theresa was transferred from Jasper to Harris County Jail today. And also, before we start in the court documents and stuff, she has a bail set at $500,000 for Theresa Balboa, which let me see the bond conditions. But a judge set her bail at $500,000. If she's released, she must wear an ankle monitor and be under house arrest. She cannot have contact with children. The public defender assigned to Balboa case asked for a lower bond at $20,000, saying he has strong ties to Houston and has lived at the same address for more than 3, or she has strong ties to Houston, but she was determined a flight risk. So now let's get a bit into the documents. I was not sure whether I should play this first, the Ivory Hecker from Fox 26, or I think I should do the court documents and then I'll play her video, because I think it'll make better sense like that. My thing is still being funny, so hopefully it's running smooth for you guys. I thought I solved the issue, but I don't know. So let's do the court documents. Download. Right here. I made a few redactions. And let me get the best screen for you guys here. I think something like that works. Hopefully you guys, it was a little blurry. I sharpened the image a little bit. But okay. So this was date prepared 6/2/2021. The state of Texas versus Theresa. And okay. The district attorney of Harris County has good reason to believe and does believe that in Harris County, Texas, Theresa, the defendant, or on about May 31st, did their unlawfully knowing an offense and has been committed to wit injury to a child, conceal a thing, namely a human corpse, with intent to impair its availability as evidence, in any subsequent investigation and official proceeding. Probable cause. I am your affiant Sergeant Prasad. I solemnly swear that I have reason to believe that Theresa committed the felony offense of tampering with evidence in Webster County, or Webster/Harris County, and the state of Texas on 531 at Gulf Freeway. Now, okay. There's a couple of addresses. The Gulf Freeway address is the address where Theresa and her live-in roommate, whatever that is, her live-in roommate were staying. This is the person that said Theresa calls him one day at work and says Samuel's dead on May 10th, and he comes after work. We're going to get into all that now and see Samuel there. So just so you have in mind that address, because I was a little confused about the addresses too. So it says Sergeant Prasad is assigned to Houston Police Department. Murder Squad 20 is responsible for investigations, including those of both adults and children. On May 30th, 2021, affiant was assigned to investigate the disappearance a 6-year-old white male, hereafter referred to as the complainant. Okay. The case is documented under HPD. The affiant met with Detective B. Fort with Houston Police Department Missing Persons Unit, who had initially been assigned the case on May 27th, 2021. Affiant learned by speaking with Detective Fort and reading an HPD generated police report that on Thursday, May 27th, 2021, at approximately 4:59 p.m., the complainant biological father Dalton contacted the Houston Police Department to report complainant missing from however you say this, McAvoy. We're just gonna call that Mac from now on. The McAvoy, whatever. 100 people are gonna comment, no, that's not how you say it. So that address, the McAvoy, the Mick address. So that address is Theresa's mother lives there. Okay. The mother lives at that address. So he reported Samuel missing from that address because that's, I guess, what she told Dalton. Mr. Dalton Olson reported that his current girlfriend, Theresa, hereafter referred to and later identified as the defendant, had care, custody, and control over the complainant since Friday, April 30th, 2021. Mr. Dalton Olson stated that the defendant called him around 11:40 a.m. on Thursday, so like in the morning, May 27th, and reported to him that earlier in the day, around 7:30 a.m., the biological mother of the complainant, Sarah, arrived at the Mick address in Harris County, Texas, and took the complainant from the property. The weird thing to me about that, I mean, I don't know, was Samuel staying there? Why was the body at this other address with the roommate? Did Theresa normally stay at the mother's? You know, I don't know. Detective, and the weird thing too is, like, let's say, wouldn't somebody at one point, if Samuel was usually, did anybody know in the chat, was Samuel usually at the Webster address or staying with the Theresa's mother at the Mick address? Either or, somebody should have known between all this time that the child Samuel was missing, not around. Where did this incident happen? Where was Samuel killed? Obviously, the father, I would think, should have known too, but we're going to get to that. Yeah, Benjamin. We're going to get into Benjamin in a second. So, Detective Forward. Let me see. Hold on. Did I speak? Okay. Detective Forward and affiant spoke to the defendant on May 30th, who stated that Sarah, along with the unidentified person presenting himself as a police officer, arrived at the Mick address to take custody of the complainant. The defendant stated at approximately 7:30 in the morning, Sarah Olson, along with the unidentified male, took the complainant from the location without consent. Detective King, affiant, on May 30th, 2021, stated that he spoke to a to a resident at Pine Groves, near Dalton, near where Mr. Dalton Olson lives, who was deemed reliable and credible. I'm twisting my tongue because I'm like, shit, I was supposed to censor that. I didn't take that address out. My bad. Let's start that over. Detective King advised affiant on May 30th that he spoke with a resident at an address near where Mr. Dalton Olson lives, who he deemed reliable and credible, and who is an employee at the Holbrook Elementary, and confirmed that the complainant was at the school on April 30th, 2021. This is the last confirmed time that Samuel was seen. Now, the grandmother, Tanya, said that she saw Samuel on May 2nd physically, but then I believe I also heard that she last heard from him a week before his body was found, but that wouldn't make sense because he's been dead for weeks. So I'm not exactly sure when exactly did grandma last hear Samuel, like over the phone or talk to them. Okay, so right now we're talking about the teacher or the employee that works at this school that confirmed that Samuel was last seen April 30th. In addition, Mrs. stated that on April 30th, 2021 was the last day that the complainant was at school, and that he has been absent for the remainder of the school year. According to the employee, Mr. Dalton Olson is known to walk the complainant to school from, there's another address where Mr. Dalton Olson resides. So there is so far a couple of addresses. We have the Freeway address. That's where Theresa, well, I should say the Webster address, the same thing. Theresa and the roommate stayed there, the living roommate. Then we have the Mick address, which is Theresa's mother, which is where Theresa stated that she was there with Samuel, and which was a lie that the biological mother and the police officer came. And then we have another address where Dalton was staying, that it was within walking distance of the school, the Holbrook Elementary School. And it's kind of weird too, I guess. Why did they? Well, we're going to talk about that too with Ivory, but they kept him out of school. Why? All that time. And he gave Samuel to Theresa, and I guess they just kept him out of school. And then I also think too, like in hindsight, I remember Grandma mentioning something about sick. And then I also, when we're going to get into it in a minute with Ivory, she mentions with Dalton supposedly being sick. I don't know if it had something to do with the virus. So we're going to get into that too, but it's strange. So affiant learned from Detective Fort and Detective King of the Missing Persons Unit that a statement was provided by Sarah, the biological mother, on May 29th, 2021 at approximately 5 p.m. Affiant learned, make sure you guys can see what I'm looking at. Affiant learned that Miss Sarah Olson denied ever picking up the complainant from the Mick address on May 27, 2021. Contrary to the defendant's statement, she provided surveillance footage from her residence confirming that she was at her residence at the time the reported that the complaint was taken by her. That's confusing. Basically, at the time that Theresa claims that the biological mother shows up to take Samuel with a supposed police officer, she was actually in her own home, and she has surveillance video and footage to prove that. So clearly she was lying. The other thing too, if the mother hasn't been in contact all this time, right? Like she's been trying to find Samuel since January 2020. How would she even know? I know the story's not accurate, but how would she even know to go to this address to get Samuel if she had no contact? That's kind of weird too, right? Things acting up. Let me get the second page now. All right. Blaine stuttering. Rose said the kid was sick, didn't take him to the doctor or have tested positive for COVID. Nobody cared for Sam. Well, it's true. I don't know. Maybe they should have got tested. We're gonna hear it in a little bit too about what Ivory is talking about. That supposedly Dalton was sick and that's why he left Samuel with Theresa, which to me it still doesn't make much sense because you have restraining order against Theresa. She's been violent to you in the past, and you're just gonna leave your kid there for weeks on end. I don't know, right? So, all right, let's get into the second page, and I'm gonna have to figure out this internet thing too because it's still acting funny. Okay, YouTube says excellent connection. All right, so we keep it rolling. So the second page, it says affiant and partner Detective A. Grimes interviewed the defendant on May 30th at the address for the HPD missing persons, who provided a voluntary statement. The defendant identified that the person who had taken then complainant on May 27, 2021 was indeed Miss Sarah Olson, who she knows by name and sight and by identifying tattoos on her body. However, the defendant stated she could not explain or did not know how Sarah Olson could be on surveillance footage at her own residence at the same time the defendant reported the complainant was being taken. So they questioned her. They questioned Theresa. Okay, this is your story. This is what you're telling us. They reached out to the biological mother. She provided surveillance video footage. She's in her own home. And so she basically said, well, I don't know how that's possible. Right? Affiant learned from Dalton Olson that the defendant and the defendant's live-in roommate, Benjamin Rivera, were with the complainant at their residence. Were with the complainant at their place of residence located on the Gulf Freeway, Webster address from April 30th, 2021 until the day the defendant reported to the father, Dalton Olson, that the complainant was missing on May 27, 2021. The complainant defendant is kind of like, blah, blah, blah. But so they're saying here that Samuel the entire time was from April 30th until the day he was reported missing on May 27th. They're saying at this address. Affiant learned from Dalton Olson that the defendant and the defendant's living roommate, Benjamin, were with the complainant at their place of residence located at the Webster address from April 30th until the day the defendant reported to the father, Dalton Olson, the complainant was missing on May 27th. So I wonder, did these things happen at this Webster address? Was this whole thing going to the mother's house and then saying this, that the biological mother came and the cops showed up? Was that just some sort of cover story? And also, where is her mother, Theresa's mother, in all this? All right. Yeah. Okay. Affiant learned that that Detective Fort and Detective King interviewed Mr. Benjamin Rivera on May 28, 2021. This is the day after Samuel was reported missing. And learned that Benjamin Rivera had come home at approximately 4 a.m. on the morning of May 27, 2021, and saw that the complainant, Theresa, and Theresa Balboa's mother, which I was supposed to... I screwed up some of the redactions. Oops. I'm going to have to come back after and try to clean it up a little. Sleeping in a bedroom inside of the apartment. Defendant Balboa reported to have left the Gulf Freeway and arrived at the McAvoy Drive, where the complainant was last reported to be seen by Defendant Balboa. I think we need to read that one more time. Affiant learned that the Detective Fort and Detective King interviewed Mr. Benjamin Rivera on May 28, 2021, and learned that Benjamin Rivera had come home at approximately 4 a.m. on the morning of May 27, 2021, 4 a.m., and saw the complainant, Theresa, and Theresa's mother, sleeping in a bedroom inside the apartment. Defendant Balboa reported to have left the Webster address and arrived at the Mick address where the complainant was last reported to be seen. So we know supposedly the roommate said that at May 10th is when Samuel was killed, but on May 27th, the mother and Theresa and her mother are at this address in Webster, and then the next day at the other residence is where it's reported missing Samuel. The timeline reported missing May 27th. Oh, May 27th was reported missing. It's confusing. I'm a little confused. May 31st. I might come back to this. We're going to come back to this and revisit this. I'm going to move forward, but I think this one on this page, we're going to come back and reread this. On May 31st, 2021, Benjamin Rivera gave a statement. Rivera stated that on about May 10th, 2021, he was called by his roommate, the defendant. The defendant informed Rivera that the complainant was deceased. So Theresa calls the roommate. Rivera says Samuel's dead. Rivera stated he left work and returned home to the Gulf Freeway address in Webster, where Rivera stated he observed the complainant unresponsive on the bed, Samuel. He stated he also observed bruising on the body, CW's body. Rivera stated that he and the defendant placed the complainant's corpse in a bathtub where he remained for 2 days. So May 10th. That's crazy. I'm just thinking of the timeline. So May 10th. Wow. Last seen April 30th. Tanya physically last sees Samuel May 2nd. So after being in there for 2 days, on May 13, 2021, Rivera stated he purchased duct tape in a plastic tote at a local Walmart. A receipt for this purchase was later found during the investigation. Rivera stated that he and the defendant wrapped the complainant's corpse in a plastic sheet, placed the corpse in a plastic tote, and placed the tote in Rivera's motor vehicle. Rivera stated that he had the defendant then drive the corpse to and place the corpse. Rivera stated that he and the defendant then drove the corpse to and placed the corpse and plastic tote inside a storage unit located on Highway 3 in Webster. So this is the whole storage unit thing. So while all this is going on, then they go store him. They wrap him up. He buys the material. This person's complicit. I wonder who this person is. Benjamin Rivera, like, what's the relationship between Benjamin and Theresa? Crazy. Okay, so they do all that. So it's really lucky for the person that reported this. I think his name is Dylan or Dylan. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Dylan. I'll see his name later, but the person that reported it, it's really a good thing that he did, because it looks like they were getting ready to try to hide or move Samuel or find a way to further dispose of him. So on June 1st at approximately 5:29 p.m., the Jasper Police Department received a Crime Stopper tip related to a kidnapping case from Houston, Texas. The tip stated that the defendant, who was described as a white female, approximately 5'3", tall, 180 pounds, with black hair, brown eyes, was in the room 106 at the Best Western, located at 205 Gibson in Jasper County, Texas. Excuse me. The tip also indicated that the defendant was possibly in possession of a missing child described as the 6-year-old white male who recently went missing from Houston, Texas. Albanian said, I heard he's her ex/current money man. Because they listed him as living. Isn't living somewhat different from just a regular roommate? When they say living, it's like almost like, I don't know, like they said living roommate. All right. Sergeant Beckman, Corporal Clint Fowler, Officer Lewin, Officer Gray of the Jasper Police Department were dispatched at approximately 5:34 p.m. to the Best Western Motel located at 205 Gibson. Beckman knocked multiple times on the door without response, and he was provided a spare key by the manager of the motel. The manager advised them that the person registered under room 106 was The person registered under room 106 was a male by the name of Dylan. Dylan. I think it's Dylan. Dylan. They're going to kill me for that too. Beckman, fearing for the safety of the child and due to the exigent circumstances due to the child being in possible danger of bodily harm, seriously bodily harm, or death, determined to make entry into the room to look for a complainant. At approximately 5:53 p.m., Sergeant Beckman, along with Officer Gray, Fowler, and Lewin, made entry into the room. Upon entering the room, Sergeant Beckman stated he detected an odor that, through his experience in law enforcement, he was able to recognize it to be a possible decomposing human remains. And that's what I wonder too, how she got that in there without the people in the hotel smelling it. Did she check in first and then sneak it by after? I mean, it had been weeks. A female was found in the bathroom while clearing the room. Sergeant Beckman escorted her outside, where he asked her for her name. She identified herself as Theresa, which they verified using her driver's license. Beckman stated that proceeded to ask multiple times for the whereabouts of the complainant, and the defendant advised him that the complainant was inside the box. Beckman observed a black tote with a yellow lid sitting on the floor. Beckman stated that the lid had been secured with zip ties and that they were strapped to the tote. Beckman stated that he pried the lid open, used his flashlight to look inside the tote, and he immediately smelled a very strong odor consistent with that of a decomposing body. Yo, I can't imagine that. Can you imagine how, like, if you're a cop and you're just, I mean, that's probably something that never leaves, that image and that smell. I mean, wow. That's crazy. Beckman observed what appeared to be a child's body wrapped in a black plastic bag laying inside of the tote. The child's body appeared to be wrapped with plastic bags and secured with duct tape. Oh my God, yo. Looking horrible. Jesus Christ. At approximately 6:37 p.m., Houston Police Department was notified of the discovery and was advised that the defendant was detained and transported to Jasper Police Department. Affian and Detective A. Grimes received a phone call from Commander Null at approximately 7:30 p.m., who notified us. Affian and Detective A. Grimes then proceeded to drive to the Gibson, Jasper County, Texas, and we arrived at the Best Western Motel at approximately 9:50 p.m. After reviewing surveillance footage from the Best Western Motel, we observed a maroon Dodge Ram pickup truck arriving at the motel at approximately 3:30 in the morning. The truck was later identified to be a 2015 Dodge Ram truck, which was registered to Dalton. The surveillance video shows a male enter the motel lobby and proceed to check in. The surveillance video then shows the male return to his truck and drive the parking lot of the motel and park. Let me read that again. The surveillance video then shows the male return his truck. No, hold on. Let's start from here. The surveillance video shows a male enter the motel lobby, then proceeds to check in. The surveillance video then shows the male return his truck and drive into the parking lot of the motel and park the truck near the rear room of 106. Okay. So he goes, he checks in, he gets back into his vehicle, he moves around to park near the room. So it must be one of those things where we can look it up after, or if somebody wants to send me a picture. It's just point. Oh yeah, we did see the video. It's just one of those things you go check in and then you can pull up right to the room. It's just those like single rooms and stuff. So that's how they got the body in there, probably without anybody really noticing the tote and avoiding the smell initially. A tote with a yellow lid is observed sitting on the bed of the truck. The surveillance video then shows the male and a female exit the vehicle and enter room 106 at approximately 5:59 a.m. The male is observed exiting room 106. Okay. So at almost 6 in the morning, he's leaving the room. That's got to be nuts too. I wonder if did he take her over there and not know what was inside? That's pretty weird. Until after? I mean, it's a good thing he called. Regardless, it's a good thing he called, because I wonder if they would have... I mean, she went missing. Samuel's reported missing 5:27. 5:31, Theresa goes missing. The grandmother said the last time she spoke to Theresa was like at 4 p.m. She goes missing. Oh. Yeah. So this is all happening. This was all happening in the early morning hours. The day she was gone missing, if I'm interpreting this right, 5:31, she's doing all this stuff. And in the morning, this guy, Dalton, around 6, he leaves. He's seen exiting the room at 106, 6 in the morning. On that same day, 5:29 p.m., Crime Stoppers receives a tip, and this is where the guy gives the tip. And then Samuel's found. There's a lot that's kind of going on that day, it seems like. Wow. All right, let's get to the next page. If I'm interpreting that right, maybe I'm not. Kind of weird because you have to go back up and look back down to see the times. All right, let's check this one out. And then once we're done with this document, we're going to get into Ivory. I want to read that one thing again over to try to understand it with the mother. And I looked over these documents 2 times and I still missed some redactions. I meant to redact some stuff, which I didn't get because I was kind of rushing. But okay, so he leaves at 6 in the morning and he's walking to the rear of the Dodge Ram truck. The video shows him get the black tote, oh man, from the back of the truck and proceed to drag the tote into room 106. Oh, I thought he left and went home. He's getting out of the truck to move the tote back, to move the tote into the hotel or motel, whatever you want to call it. The male shortly exits the room and drives away. Okay, so he left around that time in the Dodge pickup truck. So, Dalton provided his Texas driver's license when he was checking in on June 1st at 3:30 in the morning. So this is all happening early morning hours. Theresa goes missing on 5:31. God only knows, well, we know some of what she was doing. And in the early morning hours into June 1st, this is going on. So he checks in, they get there at 3:30 in the morning. He gave his address. Affiant learned that Ranger Clendenin obtained a voluntary interview with Dalton, who provided information on the transport of the storage container. Affiant learned that Dalton stated that he received a phone call from the defendant on May 31st, 2021. Again, the day that Theresa goes missing, right? Who stated she needed help because she was involved in an altercation. Affiant learned that Dalton met with the defendant in Cleveland, Texas, in a Walmart parking lot. Dalton stated that on May 31st, he drove the defendant to the Webster, Harris County, Texas, to a storage unit and picked up the storage container. Okay, so they meet at Walmart. He takes Theresa. They go together to the storage unit and pick up the storage container, which had also he noticed then it had a foul odor. Dalton stated that he then drove the defendant to Jasper, Texas, and checked in to the Best Western Motel. Dalton stated that he removed the storage container from the bed of his pickup truck at approximately 6 a.m.
Look at that.
Oh, Lord.
We got a new member.
Thank you, Magsby. Appreciate that.
Welcome to the dark side.
It's a little awkward timing. Where's that? Okay, so 6 a.m. He's reiterating what happened on surveillance, so he's being honest. And left the Best Western Motel property and went home. Dalton stated that he then called into Crime Stoppers to report the defendant's location and the location of the container containing the complainant. Affiant believes, based on the above facts, that the defendant, Theresa, committed the offense of tampering with evidence of a human corpse in Harris County on May 31st, 2021. When the defendant was booked into Jasper County, she identified herself, and they ran her driver's license to ID her. Now, let me do this. Let me get to the second page real quick, and then we'll do Ivory. I just want to read this one part one more time. I feel like with this, to make a really, really good timeline, we'd have to soak up all this information and then rewrite it if possible. Because sometimes rewriting it's a little harder. But you can rewrite it and go down all the events that happen, like chronologically. So all right, let me look at this real quick, and then we'll get to what Ivory had to say and the father Dalton story. This is the second page. Page, right? Okay, here we are. All right, so let's do this one and then we'll move on. Affiant learned from Dalton Olson that the defendant and the defendant's live-in roommate, that terminology is just weird to me. Like, why can't you say you're just a roommate? Maybe there's more there. I don't know. Benjamin Rivera were with the complainant at their place of residence located on Webster, Texas, from April 30th until the day the defendant reported the father, Dalton Olson. Until the day defendant reported to father Dalton Olson that the complainant was missing on May 27th. So this guy, the roommate, he's saying that he was there, Theresa was there, and Samuel, I believe, was there from April 30th until May 27th. Because on May 31st, Samuel was killed on May 10th. On May 13th, they do the duct tape. They purchase the stuff from Walmart. And they place him in a storage unit on May 13th. Okay. May 13th is in a storage unit. So, okay, so maybe mom didn't know. I don't know. Because from that time, Samuel was supposedly in a storage unit. Affiant learned that Detective Fort and Detective King interviewed Mr. Benjamin Rivera on May 28th and learned that Benjamin Rivera had come home at approximately 4 a.m. on May 27th and saw the complainant, Theresa. I'm confused. And okay, this is it. Okay. So on May 27th, he comes home at 4 a.m. and he sees Theresa and the mother sleeping in the bedroom inside the apartment. Defendant Balboa reported to have left Gulf and arrived the MIC address where the complainant was last reported to be seen by the defendant. So I don't know. It's weird. The mother was sleeping at this place. And I guess the mother, I wonder if that was a regular thing. Did the mother sleep there regularly or not? It's weird. I'm not too sure what to make of it. And I don't want to say too much without knowing. I feel like this kind of thing you need to like really digest, and I don't know if I'm digesting it properly. So let me before we get to the video, let me clear it up. The roommate Rivera says that on May 10th, Theresa calls him. And she says that Samuel's dead. And this is according to him. Who knows if that's really what it is, right? He comes home from work. He sees Samuel's body on the bed. And there's bruises. Was it on the bed? It was on the bed. He stated, okay, yes. Sees Samuel on the bed. He stated he also observed bruising on CW's body. Rivera stated that he and the defendant placed the complainant's corpse. So he comes home, Samuel's on the bed, bruised and dead. Then he and Theresa, we're talking about Rivera, move Samuel into the tub. He and the defendant placed complainant's corpse in a bathtub where he remained for 2 days. I mean, I just can't even think like the psychological thing behind that. So you have this child in a bathtub. I know he's deceased. And what? You're just chilling? 2 days. And so on May 13th, the guy Rivera, the roommate, he goes and purchases duct tape, a plastic tote from Walmart, and they have the receipt to prove this.
Well, you look at that.
Thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate
We got
that.
a new member.
JD.
Welcome to the dark side.
So, thank you. So he's in a bathtub for 2 days. Rivera goes and buys the supplies, the roommate, the plastic tote, the duct tape. Then the roommate says that he and the defendant wrapped Samuel, the corpse, into a plastic sheet, placed the corpse into a plastic tote with the stuff that he bought, and placed the tote in Rivera's motor vehicle. I want to be clear that Dalton, I don't think he knew. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't doing all this stuff of storing a body. I want to be very clear about that. This is the roommate and Theresa. And so they place the tote in Rivera's vehicle, and that's when they drive to the storage unit in Webster. And so from then on, this entire time, they had Samuel stored in a storage unit. And you got to wonder about that too. Would there not be any odor? I mean, I don't know how busy or slow or what kind of place it is. Do they have air conditioning? Some of those places have like the air conditioning and the odor stuff, I think. So he's there all this time. And then you have to ask, because we're going to get into Dalton in a second. I just really want to reread that and try to like understand it. But how does somebody go that long? And I'm not trying to take a bunch of jabs at the guy or whatever. I'm sure they're going through a bunch of stuff. But how do you not communicate with your child that long? For weeks. Without having questions, right? If he was killed on May 10th, May 27th, 17 days? Reported missing. Were they asking questions? Was nobody asking questions all this time? And according to the report, I don't know if this was a usual thing, but according to the documents that we're reading, Theresa calls the father and comes up with this story. So were you not going to ask about him until Theresa called and told you, hey, this cockamamie story about the biological mother? You just kind of have to wonder about that stuff, right? I don't go one day. If my daughter's with her mother, we talk, I call every day. And I know where she's at, and vice versa. I couldn't imagine weeks. Imagine that crap. I don't know if that was a normal thing for them, right? So, what kind of roommate is this? I mean, I don't know. I just can't even make sense of it. You almost wonder the character of this roommate too. And so they place him in a tote in a storage. Then you fast forward to 527, reported missing. Police come around. They had all the time in the world to do what they needed to do, maybe clean up. I kind of wonder where this incident took place. I'm almost thinking maybe possible at the roommates and Theresa's place in Webster. It's called Webster. I remember all these Texas names, addresses. Webster. And then you fast forward to where on timeline 531, Theresa, the grandmother said the last time she spoke to her before she went missing was around 4 p.m. 531. Fast forward to 531. I guess they decide, okay, now's the time. This was after she's handing out flyers, helping out with the search, hugging people on TV, hugging grandma, hugging the father. Then she goes, I guess in her head, she's like, okay, well, now's the time. Let's try to move them. We got to get this. The heat, things are hot, or maybe she thinks things are cooling off. They have no idea what's going on. And so that's when I want to make sure I get this right. Let's go to the Dalton got a call. I don't want to go through the whole thing again, but Dylan gets a call from Theresa. I wonder what that call was like too, right? Like asking him to take something from the storage unit to this motel. And it states here, I'll read it one more time, just a short portion of it. Dalton stated that he received a phone call from the defendant on May 31st, 2021, who stated she needed help because she was involved in an altercation. Affiant learned that Dylan met with Theresa in Cleveland, Texas at a Walmart parking lot on May 31st. Gotta keep in mind, this is right when Theresa went missing. He drove the defendant to Webster, Harris County, Texas, to the storage unit. So now she calls him, let's go to the storage unit. He takes her there. He literally, let's see, they picked up the storage unit and picked up a storage container which had a foul odor. Dalton said he then drove to Jasper, Texas, and checked into the Best Western Motel. And he removed the storage. He parked around back. He checks in under his name. He moves the car around to where the motel is. I think it's 106. And he removes the container, which he noticed the smell, puts it inside, leaves, and calls police. That's kind of how it is. So I still think there's more to this. Just a lot of it doesn't make sense to me. Let's check out Ivory Hecker, and she gives a little bit because she's talked to Dalton. And so let's play a little bit of her story. Hopefully this live stream made some sort of sense. It's a little confusing when you're just the terminologies, and it's kind of like defendant, yada, yada, yada. So let me play this. Let's see.
We are going live here in Cypress, outside of Holbrook Elementary School, where court records indicate that Samuel Olson attended school. So this document, the complaint we finally got from Houston Police, is chock full of information. I wanted to go over it with you.
Thanks,
some of
Amelia.
it. I mean, Holbrook Elementary is one place that Dalton Olson mentioned to me. He told me that he walks his son to school. He was telling me on Tuesday, I walk my son to school every day. I love my kid. And then this court document we got today corroborates that school employees say Dalton did walk his son to school. But more than that, the document reveals some really disturbing things about this child. According to this criminal complaint filed by Houston Police that we obtained today, it says that Theresa told her roommate that Samuel Olson was dead back on May 10th. She called him and said, come home, Samuel's dead. So the roommate comes home to the apartment he shares with Theresa in Webster and sees the child dead on a bed. And then, according to this court document, Theresa and her roommate then moved the child's body to a bathtub where the body remained for 2 days. Then the court document says that Teresa's roommate went to Walmart, bought some supplies, including a plastic container, and brought it home to wrap the child's body in a plastic covering with tape and put it inside the container. Then they brought it to a storage unit in Webster, where that poor little 6-year-old child apparently remained for 2.5 weeks. So then she files, then she reports him missing May 27th. Okay, we all know that story, and apparently, according to the court document, it was Dalton, her fiance, who called and filed that police report after she told him. And so then they begin the search. Police begin interviewing everybody, and then we get to May 31st when you see Theresa Balboa on camera. She's interviewed by some of the media. Dalton Olson is interviewed by some of the media, and they're all out there looking for the little boy, handing out flyers. Well, this court record indicates apparently what this woman did after handing out flyers. When both Dalton and his mom, Tanya, Sam's grandma, told me, she suddenly disappeared while handing out flyers. And they were desperate. They didn't know where she went. They were suddenly freaked out. Apparently, according to this court document, the location where Theresa went was, she went to her phone to call her friend Dylan in Cold Spring and say, hey Dylan, I need help. I was in an altercation. Can you come get me? So she gets her friend Dylan to pick her up in Webster, and also to pick up her plastic container. Now, whether or not Dylan knew what was in that plastic container, I don't know, but the document says that Dylan took Theresa to Jasper with her plastic container in his pickup truck, and surveillance video, according to the court record, shows that Dylan dragged that container into the motel room, kind of got her situated and checked her in himself with his ID, and then took off. So he checked her in, brought that container in there. He said it did reek of a horrible odor. I mean, this is a child that, according to this court document, had been dead since May 10th. And now this is June 1st that he's checking her into the hotel. So whatever's in that container smells terrible to him. He checks her in, and then he heads home to Cold Spring. But this guy, I'm going to call, because what he did is he immediately called Crime Stoppers and told them, I think I know where this missing girl Theresa Balboa is, and I think I know where Sam Olson is. So it was within a matter of hours that police then went and made the arrest, opened that container, and found a child's body. So we're getting all these details newly from the criminal complaint released today from Harris County District Clerk. Horrifying details. Dalton, the dad, is not mentioned much in that document, but he is mentioned as walking his son to school, and that the last time he was at school was April 30th. Now, Dalton and his mom, Sam's grandma, told me that Sam spent that final weekend in April at his grandma's house in Santa Fe, Dalton's mom's house, and that by June 2nd, or by May 2nd, which was the end of that weekend.
I just want to hear that part again, a little quick.
Sam's grandma told me that the last time he was at school was April 30th. Now, Dalton and his mom, Sam's grandma, told me that Sam spent that final weekend in April at his grandma's house.
Okay.
In Santa Fe, Dalton's mom's house, and that by June 2nd, or by May 2nd, which was the end of that weekend, the final weekend of April, okay, into May 2nd, that's a weekend he spent at Tanya's. He was not feeling well. Both Tanya and Dalton told me that Sam was not feeling well on May 2nd. So Sam said he lives here in Cyprus, where I'm located right now. I'm gonna have to go live on TV here. Okay, I have time to talk. Sam was not feeling well. Dalton was supposed to bring him back here to Cyprus, where he lives with his grandfather. So Dalton lives with his high-risk grandfather, high risk for COVID. If Sam had COVID, that would be really bad for Grandpa. So what he did is he took Sam directly to Webster, to Theresa's apartment, to quarantine for 2 weeks to make sure he didn't infect his high-risk grandfather. That is the story Dalton told me on Tuesday. And then apparently, according to this court record, Sam never made it out of quarantine alive. But get this, another thing Dalton told me on Tuesday, because he was talking to me a lot on the phone. He had chosen not to go on camera anymore. He wanted his mom to be the spokesperson for the family to keep the clarity alive. But Dalton told me on Tuesday that he would talk to his son on the phone throughout his son's quarantine in Webster. And he said that he spoke with little Sam most recently on the phone on May 21st. And then he said he also talked on the phone with Theresa on May 22nd, during which he heard his son Sam in the background, because his son is kind of a loud.
What is going on here? Did you guys hear that? I'm gonna keep playing it, and then we're gonna replay it back, take it back a little bit, and then I'm gonna I'm gonna reiterate the timelines we believe are the timelines. And again, the whole May 10th thing, that's based off the roommate. I don't know. It seems like it makes sense, but
Mouth little boy joking, yelling at the TV. He was hearing his son in the background, he said, on May 22nd, which directly contradicts this new court document, which says that Theresa told her roommate Sam's dead on May 10th. So Sam would have been dead for 11 days on May 21st when Dalton allegedly had that phone call with his son. So I'm just not sure that everything I'm hearing from everyone is true. Obviously, like police said, there's conflicting stories.
Bruh.
This is a complicated case, but I thought I'd give you guys an information dump on the information I'm getting. Dalton did admit to me he had not seen his son since May 2nd when he dropped him off in Webster to quarantine. But he said he talked to him most recently May 21st. That's what he told me on the phone on Tuesday.
Some people in the chat are saying too, possible recording. Possible. If she really was conniving and wanted to trick him and like, oh, he's busy. If we're trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe playing back a recording or something. or the dad's lying or the roommate's lying about the time frame. But they did say there was a receipt for the purchases at Walmart. I wonder if they checked the storage unit, like the entries, times, and leaving times, and that kind of stuff, because they should be able to check the storage unit for May 10th or May 13th, I think it was, right? May 13th or something. They should be able to check that. I'm gonna play that back real quick because that kind of blew my mind. I listened to her video last night, but I didn't go all the way to the end. And that's Ivory Hecker. Follow her on Facebook. Just type in Ivory Hecker. She's with Houston 26, and she's over there on the ground. I'm just like, because even she put it way better than me, because I'm trying to decipher and read through this document. It's kind of confusing. I read through it once. I probably should have read through it a couple of times before live streaming. But May 10th, supposedly, gets the call, the roommate, from Theresa that Samuel's dead. They both move the body into a bathtub, remain for 2 days. May 13th, he purchases. Oh, and they did. Okay, so, wow. Okay, so this is really important that I state this, because on May 13th, and I forgot, Rivera stated he purchased duct tape and a plastic tote at a Walmart. A receipt for this purchase was later found during the investigation. So there's no way that Samuel was alive. Unless they're just lying about this stuff and they did purchase it that day but killed him after. But this kind of coincides with the timeline. So somebody has to be, seems like, lying. Sounds like somebody's lying. There's inconsistencies. And that's how we talked about it the other day. How in the world is there confusion about where a child was? And I'm not talking about the authorities or anybody else. I'm talking about like the family and stuff. How is there this whole huge mystery where people are having to decipher, where people that are telling the story to law enforcement, the detectives, the investigators, they can't even take your word at face value, so they have to double and triple check what you're saying. And they're on media calling these people liars. Some of these people called the law enforcement liars. They're just taking in the information that's being provided. But it's almost like the liars are calling others liars, but they're the ones lying. It seems deceptive. I don't know what's going on with the dad. I know he lawyered up. Maybe he just needs representation. Were these people, embarrassed that maybe they just dropped off Theresa? They didn't want to admit to maybe not having any communication. And so they wanted to say like, oh, we did talk to him, just to make it sound like, I don't know. Let's listen to that portion again. Somebody said, the grandmother said she heard him over the phone, but did the dad said he talked to him? The dad said, I'm going to play that portion again because I think we need to re-listen to it. But I heard that, I think she said that the dad said he had spoken to Samuel May 20 something.
Dalton was supposed to bring him back here to, and that by June 2nd, and that the last time he was at school was April 30th.
Okay, let's hear it
now,
again.
Dalton and his mom, Sam's grandma, told me that Sam spent that final weekend in April at his grandma's house in Santa Fe, Dalton's mom's house, and that by June 2nd, or by May 2nd, which was the end of that weekend, the final weekend of April, okay, into May 2nd, that's a weekend he spent at Tanya's. He was not feeling well. Well, Tanya and Dalton told me that Sam was not feeling well on May 2nd. So Sam said he lives here in Cyprus, where I'm located right now. I'm gonna have to go live on TV here. Okay, I have time to talk. Sam was not feeling well. Dalton was supposed to bring him back here to Cyprus, where he lives with his grandfather. So Dalton lives with his high-risk grandfather, high risk for COVID.
For the people that are just joining, yes, the story that we're hearing as far as Dalton, he left Samuel with Theresa because Samuel was sick, and Dalton lives with his father, his own father, and father is elderly and he didn't want to get the father sick, and so he drops off Samuel at Theresa at the roommate's place of residence, I believe. And so that's kind of where we're at right now.
If Sam had COVID, that would be really bad for Grandpa. So what he did is he took Sam directly to Webster, to Theresa's apartment, to quarantine for 2 weeks to make sure he didn't infect his high-risk grandfather. That is the story Dalton told me on Tuesday. And then apparently, according to this court record, Sam never made it out of quarantine alive. But get this, another thing Dalton told me on Tuesday, because he was talking to me a lot on the phone. He had chosen not to go on camera anymore. He wanted his mom to be the spokesperson for the family to keep the clarity alive. But Dalton told me on Tuesday that he would talk to his son on the phone throughout his son's quarantine in Webster. And he said that he spoke with little Sam most recently on the phone on May 21st. And then he said he also talked on the phone with Theresa.
May 21st. Play that again, one more time.
He would talk to be the spokesperson for the family to keep the clarity alive.
Yeah, that's right. Let's hear this right.
But Dalton told me on Tuesday that he would talk to his son on the phone throughout his son's quarantine in Webster. And he said that he spoke with little Sam most recently on the phone on May 21st.
May 21st. If Samuel was killed May 10th, that's a days over a week difference. It's not just a couple of days. If that's correct, if that's it's just so ridiculous. I don't know.
And then he said he also talked on the phone with Theresa on May 22nd, during which he heard his son Sam in the background, because his son is kind of a loudmouth little. He spoke with little Sam most recently on the phone on May 21st.
So there's two differences here if you're listening. May 21st, allegedly, he speaks to Samuel on the phone. May 22nd, he speaks to Theresa and he hears Samuel in the background.
And then he said he also talked on the phone with Theresa on May 22nd, during which he heard his son Sam in the background, because his son is kind of a loudmouth little boy, joking, yelling.
So for the thing where we were talking about maybe Theresa was playing an audio recording in the background, since he claims here that supposedly he spoke directly to Samuel May 21st, there's not going to be no audio recording that's in real time, reacting to what the father is saying. So this is what Ivory said. There's a big difference between May 10th and May 21st and 22nd for somebody that was supposed to be killed and dead over a week ago. And I mean, I don't know. I don't want to I'm just saying there's things that don't add up. When was the last time Grandma spoke? She said she spoke to Samuel. I thought they said a week before or something. I don't know. Are they just getting the dates wrong? The dates have never seemed right from the beginning. I don't know. It's crazy.
On May 21st. And then he said he also talked on the phone with Theresa on May 22nd, during which he heard his son Sam in the background, because his son is kind of a loudmouth little boy, joking, yelling.
And Nula points out, which is a good point, May 22nd, it had been past 2 weeks. Quarantine point. Yeah, how long was Samuel quarantining for? What's the quarantine plan? A month? 2 months? How long were they going to go for the quarantine?
At the TV, he was hearing his son in the background, he said on May 22nd, which directly contradicts this new court document, which says that Theresa told her roommate Sam's dead on May 10th. So Sam would have been dead for 11 days on May 21st when Dalton allegedly had that phone call with his son. So I'm just not sure that everything I'm hearing from everyone is true.
That's crazy.
Obviously. Like police said, there's conflicting stories. This is a complicated case. But I thought I'd give you guys an information dump on the information I'm getting. Dalton did admit to me he had not seen his son since May 2nd when he dropped him off in Webster to quarantine. But he said he talked to him most recently May 21st. That's what he told me on the phone on Tuesday. This court document from Houston Police says that the people they interviewed, Theresa's roommate, apparently saw Sam dead on May 10th. We still don't know, how he died. That document doesn't say anything about how he died. But that's what we've got so far. What a tragic story. My heart goes out to this family. Can't imagine what the position they're in. Anyway, we are going to go do a live report for the 6 o'clock news, Fox 26, if you want to tune in.
All right, so that's it for that. And by the way, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting like, I'd appreciate it. Don't normally have this much viewership to help the video get out. That's really big. That is a huge deal. I'm just kind of like shocked a little bit. So the father has an attorney now. He's supposed to be speaking today, sometime today, I think, with Channel 2. I don't know when that's going to happen. I was hoping to be on right now while live streaming. We could watch it together, but it doesn't look like it's come out yet. I'll play this one other final clip from her, and then I think we'll call it, and I'll probably be back later. Thank you for the likes. Appreciate that. So this is not directly related, but it's just kind of interesting. Let me see.
West Houston, as we are covering horrifying updates.
So there was a house discovered a block from the scene where Samuel Olson was reported missing. So this is by the MIC address. The address where, let me make sure I get this right, Theresa and the roommate were staying. Unrelated, but close by. Let's just hear what she has to say.
In the disappearance of a 6-year-old boy named Samuel Olson, there happens to be another scene. You can see the flashing lights down there about a block from me. Houston Police tell Fox 26 this is some sort of human trafficking scene that is just evolving a block down from the home that appears to be Grandma June's house. So Samuel Olson's dad told me that the weekend before he went missing, he spent the weekend with Grandma June here on McAvoy in Southwest Houston. And Grandma June is the mother of Theresa,
Thank you for the share.
who is now charged in connection.
Okay, hold on.
Samuel Olson's dad told me that the weekend before he went missing, he spent the weekend with Grandma June here on McAvoy in Southwest Houston. And Grandma June is the mother of Theresa, who is now charged in connection to a child's body found in Jasper, which police believe is Samuel Olson. They're just waiting on the autopsy results. So we've tried the door here. Nobody's answering. Neighbors confirm this is where June lives, but she's not answering the phone. Talked to neighbors who are just horrified. I also went down to Webster, where Theresa was living. Actually, this is her old apartment I went to. Theresa was living there back in November when court records show that she assaulted Dalton, Samuel's dad. So this turbulent relationship between
Little Sam's dad and his fiance, according to court records, she tried to strangle him
Jesus Christ.
while living at that apartment. So I talked to the downstairs neighbor, and when I told her that a child's body had been found, she was just, the first thing she says is, I knew it, because she tells me she had heard all the commotion, the screaming. It was like the child up there was crying for help. Went back when they lived there, in addition to the two adults fighting a lot. So that was the interview I got with the downstairs neighbor today, which we aired on the news, and came out here to talk to neighbors about this scene where the child was reported missing from. Apparently Grandma June's address, which is just a block down from an apparent human trafficking scene just evolving today, right now in Southwest Houston, according to Houston Police. I'm actually going to go down here. It's a totally different story. Lots happening in Houston today. This is a scene where you can see flashing lights, fire trucks, police cars. An officer was seen jumping out of his car with a gun just in the last hour, and now a big scene has evolved with police tape up there. Let me get closer and show you guys. Police are telling us that this began with a man paying money to try to get his relative up here into the United States. And apparently an argument began to happen where someone wanted more money than what was agreed on.
Lori sent a super chat. Prayers for all these children that we failed. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And police ended up showing up. Turns out there were about 9 people who've been detained, according to police. I'm going to flip this around now that we're getting closer. Apparent human trafficking scene, but little is known, as this has just evolved as we were live in the neighborhood where little Samuel Olson was reported missing from.
Isn't that crazy?
Human trafficking. Hi ladies, what are you hearing?
Oh, well, hello. How
Hi.
are you doing?
Good. I was doing the news out here and I saw this scene evolve.
It looks like I don't know if it's a coyote house down there.
A coyote house? Damn.
You know, they knocked and nobody would answer, and then they brought 4 to 5 people through the house into the garage. They were just in underwear. And
Are you on camera?
am I on camera?
Yeah, we're doing a live stream.
You're live.
We're doing a...
Yes, it is the rental house.
What do you mean the rental house?
Oh, not the. There's some, you know, but it's a rental house, and I didn't know anybody was there. I didn't know anybody was there.
Wow.
So, you know, yeah, surprise, surprise. So it's McAvoy Madness.
Oh my, McAvoy Madness, is that what they call it?
Yes.
That's how you call it, McAvoy.
Wow. Okay.
Have a good night.
You too. Stay safe out here in McAvoy.
Looks like a decent
Give you guys
neighborhood.
a look.
too.
We're gonna send another evening camera.
Be surprised in some of these decent looking areas. There was that whole thing in Florida, a place they called House of Horrors, which I gotta follow up on that story. But there was a woman in there. I can't even say it on stream, but they were being recorded. I think the woman went there to party. Like, it's not like they were forced to go there or forced to take substances. They willingly took the substances, but supposedly the guy was giving more to them than they were, I guess, should have had, and they were passed out on camera, and the guy was just recording, and he had a roommate. The interesting thing about that, the roommate was like arrested too, but there was no ever, I checked the court records, there's nothing filed. Even the news noted that there was nothing filed, and it was weird, and his name doesn't even pull up. And so I think that the guy that was there, the roommate, was possibly like an undercover. I think that's kind of what was up with that. I don't know, but the guy had a bunch of stuff in the house. Let me check real quick. Thank you guys for the super chat. Appreciate it, man. We're gonna be on Discord tonight too. Movie night, video night. Queen of Fire Tara says, please, mothers, you guys watch for your kids. Don't leave them with no one. Come on, we're mothers. I feel like I think we all feel like there's more to the story. I even think maybe even more to the bio mother, maybe, that we don't know, you know? JD said, thanks for reporting, but this is so sad. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, with that story, man, a couple people told me they think he was undercover. I don't even know how that would work. How would you have an undercover roommate? But the guy was arrested, and I checked the records. There was nothing. And the media said, as of today, there was nothing. And I checked a couple of times after. Nothing was ever documented, like being arrested or anything like that. Thought it was just kind of weird, unless he went under another name or alias. Oh, hold on, I missed something. It's even up to date. Let me keep playing this, and I'll see where.
Our crew out here to get to the bottom of what's going on with the human trafficking, just a block away from where little 6-year-old Samuel Olson was reported missing from. Two totally separate stories, both evolving on the same street here in Southwest Houston on McAvoy Drive. There's my colleague filming. Hi. Good, how are you? Wow.
Let's see, can we...
Are they? So, wonder which house it was. That one?
Yeah, there's nothing.
Alright, so apparently, again, appears to be a human trafficking scene here, a human trafficking house just uncovered. We've been discovering more and more of those. More than I've ever discovered in my career, just in the past few months. And so here's another one, 9 people appearing to be smuggled. That's initial information from Houston Police, but we're gonna get that verified by our evening crew. So tune into Fox 26.
That's it with that. Well, I guess that's it for the live stream, man. Thank you guys for joining me. Crazy, wild. I wasn't expecting that at the end. Even the father's story seems to be conflicting. And so I don't know what that means, man. I'll just end it off on this last little thing, and then we'll call it a stream. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you could hit like on the way out. I'm gonna play this video one more time. Theresa, the deceiver, the liar, and then we'll roll out of here. I might be back later on today. I'll be free later tonight. No baby after, I forgot, certain time tonight I'll be free. So we got Discord night tonight, videos on Discord, and the father is supposed to be speaking today, probably through the lawyer. I'm really curious to see what he's going to have to say to all this. Maybe he can address the times and the dates and all this kind of stuff. So let's check
until we find him. What do you think? Where do you think he could be? Somewhere with...
Thank you, Keish Love. Appreciate that. Keish Love says, hello, Mel. Appreciate all your hard work. You know you stay these cases like a hawk. Like you say, every child deserves a parent, but not every... Or like they say, every child deserves a parent, but not every parent deserves a child. And really, thank you to the people that reached out to me and sent me the links. That helps out a lot. Evelyn, Heather, there's a bunch of people. Flossie always helps out on a regular basis. Lisa, yeah, I got Heather. There's a bunch of people that sent me. BL, thank you guys.
Not with us. And that's the important thing, is that he is not with us and we need to bring him back to us. So, and we're going to continue to search. until we find him.
What do you think? Where do you think he could be?
Somewhere with not with us. And that's the important thing, is that he is not with us and we need to bring him back to us. So I can't say where he could be, where he might be, like, because honestly we don't know. At this point, we don't know. All we can do.
Like Evelyn said, this video kind of hits a little different too. Once you're hearing all the details and all the court documents and all the stuff that doesn't add up and all the details that we have found out, it's like looking back at this is just.
Let's keep searching and doing, everything we've been doing, and we're gonna continue to do it.
You think he's definitely alive?
Oh yeah. We just keep picturing him sitting watching cartoons waiting for us, just sitting there waiting for us, and we're gonna get him. We're gonna find him.
Tell me about your relationship. Did he call you mom? Did he, or at least
Super mommy? That was his choice. Not
super mommy.
It wasn't forced. We didn't force him, because I'm like, I don't want to like force that, but he used to call me super mommy or Theresa. It was still uncomfortable for him, because he's little, he's a kid, and he knows who his mom is, but he also knows that how much I care about him and everything that I've been doing for him and have done for him. So we're gonna find him. I know we're gonna find him.
That's it. There's Dalton too. I'm kind of curious a little bit about Dalton also.
First off, if you say your name, spell it for me.
My name is Dalton Olson, Dalton Olson.
Dalton, this must be some rough times. Can you tell me what it's been like?
I feel like I'm living in a nightmare I can't wake up from. No parent should ever have to feel this. I can't eat, I can't sleep. I'm at a loss for words, man.
I understand. Have the police told you anything or given you any...
We're doing our best right now to get out there and search for him. We're trying to cooperate and give them everything. We've given them everything that we can. Any little information we think is important or even as insignificant as we think it is, we still hand it over. So we're just trying to do everything we can to play our part to help bring my son home safe, because that's all that matters at the end of today is please help me find my son.
What was your son's name?
His name is Samuel Olson. He just turned 6 years old on the 20th.
I don't know what the deal with the father is. I heard that he genuinely seems disturbed and hurt over the situation. I'm thrown off by the conflicting dates that Ivory said, what the father said, because he said he spoke to Samuel, but Samuel was dead already. And so I don't know if they're going to speak about this in the press conference, but this definitely needs to be cleared up, because this kind of has people looking sideways. But from what I heard and people that have spoken to him, supposedly he seems genuinely upset, disturbed. I mean, I wonder about this. Like, maybe they just knew more than they put on and they didn't say. I don't know. This is really hard to say. It's really hard to even come to any kind of conclusions or theories or speculation when a lot of things have seemed to be a lie. And so if you start basing a theory off of just lies, it's kind of like, I could imagine being an investigator and multiple people, multiple alleged family, maybe they're coming and the stories are not straight. And then you have to figure out and go through the mud and pick apart the details. And after a while, it's like, why even listen to what you're saying? We're just going to have to go GPS or check your data on your phone and all this kind of stuff. Like the police did. They literally had to go to the school where Samuel was going to verify the last time he was, even though other people were saying, I saw him here. Grandma said, which is possible. Grandma said she saw him May 2nd, physically. Father said, I spoke to him then. I spoke to him here, there, whatever. And even then, cops are like, you know what? Let's just go find out from the school. When was he just outside of the family, because it seems like the family they're having issues with the story. Outside of the family, when was Samuel last seen? And Holbrook says April 30th.
29th. He has a little bit of shaggy hair on top, shorter on the sides.
Yeah. And you said you've been passing out some flyers.
Yes, sir. We're all in the area.
That,
We've been in the Pasadena, LaPorte area passing out flyers. Right now, we're over here on the southwest side of Houston passing out flyers. We're gonna go to the area where he was last seen, and we're gonna pass out flyers. I mean, anywhere we can just hand out anything for somebody if they've seen something. I mean, any little bit of information will help.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Somebody asked about what did they get him for.
Now, Mr. O'Brien, you are charged.
Oh, this is that whole crazy story. I've been meaning to cover this. Does anybody know the story, what this is? With just looking at the image? Anybody in the chat? Crazy ass story. I'm not going to do it now, obviously, but if I have time one of these days, we'll talk about it. This shit was nuts. This kid. It was him and another child. But I guess it's... I think they have a messed up past, these kids. And they're foster kids, too, I believe. But I guess that's it. We'll call it a stream. And if the father comes and does a press thing, I'll either do a video or we'll talk about it when I have time. Yeah. AK-47. These are the kids that, it was him and I think a girl. I think they ran away from the foster home or the foster care or whatever. They broke into like a home, stole guns and stuff like that. 12 and 14-year-old broke into a house and got gunshots. And there's body cam to the police. And the police, there's like a standoff. It was really intense. Luckily, I don't think anybody's dead. I think the girl got shot. Yeah, the girl got shot, but I don't think anybody's dead. So somehow that worked out. But the police officer, I think the sergeant or something of Volusia County, or the chief or whatever, he was going off. He was going off and talking about the system, the Florida child care, the Florida, whatever it's called. The system there for children to assist is a failure. That's what he was saying. So, but that's it, man. Thank you so much for you guys coming through. I appreciate you. Take care of yourselves. And we'll talk more about this later. All right. Be safe. Have a great day. Peace. I still got to figure out these issues with the connection. I don't know what's going on. And thank you for the super chats too. Appreciate that. And thank you to the new members. Love you guys. All right. Peace.